Well, my albums have, I mean, people call me ubiquitous for a reason because I am kind of one of those people. I'm always doing different things, you know. Because I wanted to, because I think when you start in the industry really young, you kind of want to go on an adventure, which is what I did. I kind of went on an adventure with the music, you know. With the first album, I definitely knew I wanted to make a classic soul record because I wanted it to last forever. And even at 17, I knew that if I didn't have a great album, it would die. That was my fear, so I tried to, that's why I chose those writers, because those writers were able to have timeless songs. I felt they were classy, timeless songs at that time, so I kept saying to myself, if it sounds classy and timeless now, that means in 20 or 30 years it's going to be really good. So I was thinking in my head, you know, as a teenager. And, you know, because I was terrified of disappearing. This was my big fear as a kid. And then I went on to do Contribution, which is I produced that album myself with a couple of guys from Berklee College in America, and then Prince came and did some songs on there for me as well. And then the third album, which was Whisper a Prayer, did that with Narada Michael Walden and Rod Temperton, who did Michael Jackson, as you know, Thriller and all that stuff. And all those albums were like me taking a journey. And what's happened now is, even though I've gone on that exploration, I've come back to making an album, which is very much how I started, which is just based on great songs, powerful songs, and really simple production, but just really, really strong lyrical content. And that is what my mentality was when I first started. So it's almost like I've gone round in a circle to come back to where I started. And that's what's happened. It's just taken 22 years for me to do that, which I didn't really expect it to take that long. But I think you just have to hear this record. It's the best record I've done, I think, since the first one. Doesn't mean the others weren't good, but there's just something about MicaParis singing great songs, lyrical songs, not so much about a groove or a beat, but just songs that just penetrate you. And I think I've done that with the first album, and I did it with this album. I didn't decide to go into TV at all. I was actually pregnant at the time, and I hadn't had a baby in a long time because my daughter's like, you know, she was 15, and I kind of didn't think I was going to have any more kids, to be honest. But my musical career was pretty dead at that point, and I told her I couldn't get a deal, and I wasn't even trying. I just thought, oh, sod it. All I kept doing was my Radio 2 show, which was really fun because I had Mary J on there, and I had Jill Scott, and all of my friends would come on and chat with me, and I had such a wicked time doing that show. But I kind of got immersed into that, you know. And then basically, my girlfriend, Lisa Butcher, was an old friend of mine. She called me up and she said, you know, Mish, I'm going to go for a casting tomorrow for this show called What Not to Wear. And I said, what's What Not to Wear? Because I'm very bad with television. It's not even funny. I think I saw EastEnders when it first started, and I haven't seen TV since. I'm that bad. And so she said, you know those two women that you see in the newspapers and who style people? I said, oh yeah, Trini and Susanna, I know those girls. I always read about them in the papers. She said, they've got this TV show and they're leaving, and I'm going for the casting. And I said, well, this is what you got to do. When you go for the casting, right, the first thing you do, you say to them that you've always had this thing about clothes and you know what clothes are, and and I was giving her all the rundown of what to say. And, you know, just helping her out so that, you know, when she got casted, she'd do a great job. You know how you do. The next day, she calls up, she goes, Mish, I'm just with the producer of What Not to Wear, and he wants you to come in and do a casting because I kind of told him about you. And I'm like, what? I said, what are you doing? I told you that for yourself. I didn't tell you to do it for me. And that's really how it happened. And then I just went in because I couldn't come off the phone. I'm talking to her, trying to dog her out, basically to say, you really shouldn't have put me forward for this show. And then she goes, the producer's right here, Mish. Can you just have a word? It's like, so I was right on the spot, you know, I couldn't even get out of it. Went down, did the casting. They went nuts for it and said it was great. And then Lisa and I ended up doing the show for 2 years. And it was an amazing show because we trumped the viewership. You know, we were getting 4.5 million people a week, which was, you know, way over what Trini and Susanna were getting. Well, the thing is, there was always this feeling inside of me that, you know, I felt sad inside that I couldn't make music. My dream was always to have a record out every 2 years, 3 years, I always used to say to myself when I was younger, because I think you have to have a bit of a life to talk about, to sing about. If you release records too quickly, sometimes there's not enough material to talk about because you haven't really lived. So, yeah, this was going on 5, 6 years now. I hadn't released a record and it was going up to 7 years, and I was just like, I don't know if I'm ever going to make a record again. So I was getting a bit sad about it, but I carried on doing the TV and radio, but deep down I was hurting. So when Brian called me up, and this is 10 years now has gone by, I haven't put out a record. And Brian calls me up and I'm on set and he's like, Mish, we can get this record, you know, we're going to make this record. And we just had this offer from some hedge fund guys. I just lost it. I was like, yes, finally. But then I went in the studio and I was absolutely terrified. I was terrified because I'd forgotten, I guess, in my mind I just thought, oh yeah, this is what happens when you make a record, isn't it? God, can I do it? Do I still have it? And so the first couple of weeks were scary, but it's like riding a bike, you know, you never forget. Well, I haven't toured for 19 years, so to have people buy the tickets and the promoters telling me that it's sold out, oh, I can't even tell you, man. It's just tears, you know. The first leg of the tour, every night I was coming off stage crying my eyes out because I just couldn't believe people love what I do, and it's very emotional because a lot of the people in the concerts don't know me as a singer. They just know me as a TV presenter, because most of these kids weren't even born when I put my One Temptation out. My One Temptation came out in 1988. And a lot of these kids, you know, bless them. So, you know, it was very emotional the first couple of weeks of the tour. But now I'm I'm so enjoying it. And you know what I'm getting as well, I have to tell you this, what I'm getting from the shows as well is that people are really starved of music. Because, I mean, we really throw down in the concert. You know, I'm a church girl at heart, so I've got this band that are just insane. They are so funk with soul. And it's all there, it's really, you know, it's serious music, it's hardcore. And then you've got these vocals. My vocals are like gospel singers, you know what I mean? So it's the show is a really powerful show. And I just didn't realize that people aren't getting that at the moment when they go to see a concert. And so I realize now that it's actually good that we're back on the road again, because people are really just like going, I can't believe it, finally we got music, and people are getting all emotional and it's all going off. So it's a wonderful time for me. It's a renewal, and that's the reason why I called the album Born Again, because, you know, I felt that this is a new life for me, you know, because it feels really new. Oh, pretty much all of them, you know. I mean, you know, Breathe Life is probably one of my favorites. I don't know what it is about that song, and My One Temptation is wicked, don't get me wrong. We do a wicked version of My One Temptation. We kind of drop in the ghetto. You know, the world is a ghetto. We kind of change it up and then make it that, and it's pretty hot. But there's something about Breathe Life that it's a very spiritual song, and I don't know what to say, but it just kills people, that song, and it kills me as well. So that's the one I enjoy singing the most. Well, you know, the book was really cathartic for me. I actually didn't realize I clocked up so many experiences. It wasn't until I started writing the book and I was like, my God, I've had a hard one, you know, I've had a really tough life, and I didn't realize it. But because, you know, you're trying to survive, you know, so you're not thinking about the pain. You're just thinking, I've got to get through this, and that's how I'm always thinking. I've got to do great work. I've got to do work that touches and moves people. It's very important for me that people are inspired by what I do. Otherwise, there's no point. And that's got a lot to do with my gospel background, you know, being of service to others. Very important that as an artist. that you touch people's lives. But the book, Beautiful Within, made me wake up to the fact that I've had a real roller coaster of a career and life. And will it continue? I'm hoping that my future is not going to be so bumpy. I don't mind having new experiences, but some of them were a little too traumatic. So it would be nice if I had new experiences that weren't so painful. But no, my luck, it probably won't be. Well, they've already penciled me in for a 30-date tour, and this album is going to be, you know, we've got a single coming off this album, Born Again, the actual title of the album, is coming out in January, which is fantastic, and you know, we have a TV ad for it, and Asda have just taken it, which is great, because it's taken me 4 months of grafting with no marketing to get to this place of having this love given to us now with the TV commercial and all that stuff. So that you know, after that we're going to release another record after that, and then I'm going to be going to Europe, to Germany, doing shows there, and then after that I'm going to go to the States, because the States are really giving us a hard time. They want us to come out there, which is nice. And the States hasn't had me, you know, they haven't had me for 20 years. So they're still on the first album over there, which was a big hit in America. So I have to do the world next year. It's all about the world next year. It's all of it: Japan, America, Europe. Hi, this is MicaParis, and when I want to catch up with the latest in soul urban music news, I check out SoulM8.
You're my